President Biden's son is facing some federal felony charges that carry hefty penalties.
Hunter Biden indicted for lying on federal forms when he bought a handgun in 2018. He's also accused of possessing a gun while on drugs.
The charges could have been wiped out in a plea bargain Biden made in July, but the deal fell apart when it turned out there was no agreement on whether other charges could be brought about in the future. So here to help us understand all of this is David Shapiro of John Jay College. He is a master's program director there and a former FBI agent and Essex County, New Jersey assistant prosecutor. So David, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Oh, you're welcome. This is my pleasure.
So let's talk about this, David. Hunter Biden's legal team says that the previous plea deal's immunity should still be enforced because it was signed before the judge began asking questions that undercut it. So how good is that argument, and kind of lay that groundwork out for those who may not know the full background here?
Well, the plea negotiation process requires both the defendant and the prosecutor to reach an agreement, which is memorialized in a writing. However, this agreement does not become binding until reviewed and approved by the judge. The judge needs to accept the agreement in order for it to be binding and authoritative. So here, I don't think the argument is a strong one.
So these charges, the indictment yesterday is completely different from the charges in July, right? So totally disconnected.
Well, they're not. They're related, aren't they? They deal with the firearms purchase while either under drugs and making a false statement.
So could there be a new plea deal?
Yes, of course there could be a new plea deal. The essential thing that has changed was that previously Mr. Hunter Biden was to enter a pretrial diversion program, which would have enabled him to avoid conviction. Now, at this stage, it's possible he could get convicted and more likely get probation because he would be a first-time offender, assuming the charges are true.
Right, and that's assuming the charges are true, right? And there's been a lot of talk about other dealings besides these gun charges, right? There's the tax fraud, and then there was also some business dealings with foreign companies that were being looked at as well. Do you see that maybe this charge could be used as a way to help or hinder those other cases?
Well, normally the process would be to obtain evidence that puts the defendant on edge and makes him or her more agreeable to testify or plead truly. Here, the leverage is not that great, even though the statements are that he could face 10 years maximum on on a couple of the gun charges. But there's not really a lot of leverage here to get him to change his position on the tax fraud or the Ukraine corruption, assuming again that these charges are true. It's difficult to talk about these things when we talk as if they're true, but they might not be true. So I just need to insert that.
Yeah. So I'm curious though, politically, do you have any feeling on whether or not this case will affect President Biden's reelection bid?
I don't think it will affect him in one respect. I don't think it will affect Mr. Joe Biden professionally as an administrator, as having the power to work the job. I think there are other things going on, and Mr. Joe Biden as a father has long familiarity with the difficulties of his son, and I don't think that this will be a major obstruction in his career path.
Well, that could be argued because the Republicans may use it as a talking point, saying what exactly did the president know, what did he not know about his son? But that's a story for a different day, right? I want to talk to you right now about the Republican House effort to launch an impeachment inquiry against President Biden, which of course was initiated by House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, right? We talked a lot about the impeachment when it came to former President Trump. And we talked about these high crimes or misdemeanors. Don't you need an alleged high crime or misdemeanor before you can begin an impeachment proceeding?
No, because what we have here would be a replacement, a substitute for the traditional trial process. The House would start with more than a scintilla of evidence would be sort of the standard. And they take that evidence, it could be witness testimony, and conduct further investigations. we would not start in the House of Representatives with a prior conviction, although they could. But here it's more an inquiry into whether there was bribery.
Yeah, because so far nothing has been substantiated. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next. David Shapiro, thank you so much. We appreciate your time this morning.
Hazel and Dan, thank you very much.
Okay.
Have a good day.
You too. You too.